evening to all our viewers watching Primetime News on TV1. I'm Tarusha Kumar Singha. Currently, we are experiencing a major technical issue here at Newsfirst Studios, but on a more positive note, our engineers are trying their level best to resolve all those issues. Now, amidst these challenging times, I will present the available news items that is available to us right now to you. Once the issue is resolved, we will present you with the fully fledged bulletin. With that note, it is a look at the top stories for tonight.
US President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump test positive for COVID-19. President inquires into issues faced by people in the Matale district. 51 injured after bus plunges into a precipice along Hatton-Diagama Road. 4 suspects involved in Katana money heist arrested.
On a top story for tonight, US President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump tested positive for COVID-19 today. Top story from here at home, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa attended the second phase of discussion with villagers program at the Nagavanaram temple in Matale today. The villagers presented the issues they face for a long period to the president. The president instructed the authorities to provide land to the people who lost their homes due to the Moragahakanda Reservoir project. According to the president's media division, steps have been taken to expedite the process at the Hettipola blood transfusion unit to seek permanent solutions for the chronic kidney disease prevalent in the area. The president also instructed the authorities to relax the guarantee conditions when dairy farmers apply for concessionary loans. The president's media division said the President Gotabaya Rajapaksa gave instructions to renovate the 2.8-kilometer stretch that runs from Veheragala to Hettipola and the road that runs from Himbiliyakanda Vavabunt to the Himbiliyakanda village. Following the conclusion of the discussion with Villages program, the president inspected the houses and the cultivation land in the village. In some tragic news now, 51 people have sustained injuries after a bus veered off the road and crashed into a 25-feet precipice along the Hatton-Diagama Road.
The bus that was travelling towards Hatton had met with the accident at around 6:45 this morning.
අයියා ඩයරෝට ගලුණා අයියා.
එතකොට ඔයා බස් එකේ ආවද?
බස් එක ආවා.
කී දෙනෙක් විතර හිටියද?
80 කට හිටියා අයියා.
ගොඩක් තුවාලයි නේ?
ඔව්.
Those who sustained injuries were admitted to the Dikkoyo base hospital.
මේකෙම කතා කිනේ.
Police said among the 51 injured were 30 school students. 2 students who were critically injured have been transferred to the Kandy Teaching Hospital. Our correspondent said that the bus driver and conductor had also sustained injuries. Residents said the dilapidated state of the road may have been the cause of the accident. The Hatton police are conducting further investigations into the accident.
Founder and president of the Sarvodaya Shramadana movement, Sri Lanka Abhimanya Dr. A.T. Ratna expressed these views at a convention in Moratuwa today.
We can all live together or die together. If we do not live in harmony, nature will destroy us. Something securing state powers will help them to mold countries. If that was possible, then all countries in the world would have been developed and approved. Today marks the 151st birthday of Mahatma Gandhi. A lesson that we must learn from Gandhi is that before we correct others, we must correct ourselves internally. Our objective should be to develop our spiritual well-being. If one takes revenge after securing power, you cannot identify such an individual as a leader. Leaders who think too much of their power will be destroyed by nature. The leader should be humble, like dust. That is why Mahatma Gandhi is the most inspirational leader to date.
The National Convention of the Sarvodaya Shramadana movement was held at the Sarvodaya Vishwa Samadhi Hall in Moratuwa.
The Askari chapter of the Siam sect reiterated today that the positive attributes of the 19th Amendment to the Constitution should be retained.
The Anunayaka of the Askari chapter of the Siam sect, Most Venerable Narampanaviananda Thero, made these remarks when State Minister Jeevan Thondaman called on the Venerable Thero today.
There is a constitutional amendment that has been drafted. We witnessed many drawbacks of the 19th Amendment in the past, and therefore we are of the stance that it should be changed. However, certain positive attributes of the 19th Amendment should be protected.
The State Minister also called on the Mahanayaka Thero of the Askari chapter of the Siam sect today.
The Attorney General is attempting to take action according to the Gazette and disregard what happens at the committee stage. When the Parliament Select Committee convenes, they will obtain the two-third majority using parliamentary powers. Now the law is ironclad after the signature of the Speaker. There is no review process by the Sri Lankan court system. There is no way that you can determine whether an act is in adherence to the Constitution after it is passed. These people are trying to avoid this. So we very clearly say if they are trying to bring forth a constitutional amendment that would weaken the authority of the Supreme Court, this should be handed over to the people. They are attempting to do something else in the guise of safeguarding the power of the people. The people did not give their mandate for these people to rob the money of the public. They gave their mandate for these people to ensure their safety. We are not against the President holding the ministerial portfolio of defense. We cannot be responsible for their actions. Can the Attorney General be held accountable for that? The Attorney General is not a representative of the Parliament. Minister of Justice enacts what is being instructed by the President. The President wants to claim the powers of the executive and the legislature and rule the country in a stubborn manner. They are trying to clamp down the opposition that will come from the public in the future through this.
I don't think there is anything that is presented here that can be viewed as against the public. We hope that the verdict of the Supreme Court will be given in the coming week. The Attorney General makes his decision after careful discussions with the relevant ministers. He will not present facts before the Supreme Court according to his whims and fancies. Therefore, the Attorney General presents his facts before the court with some foundation. No new Gazette notification will be issued. If there are any lapses in this, we expect to discuss and rectify them at the Parliamentary Select Committee and go forward with this as the 20th Amendment to the Constitution.
Meanwhile, the trade union movement against the 20th Amendment conducted an awareness program at the Fort Railway Station in Colombo.
The 20th Amendment is not an effort that is being carried out against a good governance government for the sake of 6.9 million people. It's not an effort carried out by the good governance government against a 6.9 million either. The 20th Amendment is about the rights of all Sri Lankans. We need the positive attributes of the 19th Amendment to develop this country. So do not support the amendment under the guise of protecting the government. The corruption and fraud that had taken place at Sri Lankan Airlines and other state institutions were revealed through the Auditor General's audits. Is the present government trying to sweep these matters under the carpet? We urge the government to establish the Audit Services Commission immediately and to refrain from removing the powers of the Auditor General to audit the state-owned institutions.
Will there be a crossover in favor of the 20th Amendment? There is a broad discussion taking place with regard to that. The discussion has certainly widened following the ceremony, which was jointly attended by State Minister Chama Rajapaksa and MP from the opposition Rishad Badruddin in Vaunia yesterday.
To pass the 20th Amendment, you will need the vote of 150 MPs. The government has 147 or 148 so far. But we can see that a silent rebellion is taking place within the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, even though it is not visible to the naked eye. Against such a backdrop, there is a massive doubt within the government whether they can obtain the necessary 150 votes in parliament. Therefore, they have no choice but to join hands with people like Rishad Badruddin, of whom they were so critical in the past.
We have heard that there is a plan in place to lure our MPs to vote in favour of the 20th, but not a single Samagi Jana Balawega MP can be lured into these traps. A large group of people in the ruling faction are against this. Let's wait and see whether they can pass the 20th in Parliament. The government says that they will convince 20 people to cross over from our side, but they know that more than 30 from their side are against this. That is the reason for this smokescreen.
We do not need anyone. We have 150. We do not have to go behind anyone. People who are willing to come will come, but regardless, we will go forward because we have the 150.
Rishad Badruddin may vote in favour of this. We already have a two-third majority, and therefore I do not see why we should consider taking him to the ruling party. We do not need more members from the opposition to fill up the ruling party.
Anyone can create false news. The event was attended by public representatives from all parties, so we didn't expect anyone particularly. I do not know about people with narrow ideologies. The event was not organized in line with the 20th Amendment. It was not even spoken about at the event. We spoke about the issues of the people.
The hearings of the petitions filed against the 20th Amendment to the Constitution continued today. President's Counsel Gamini Marapane, appearing for the intervening petitioner Professor G.L. Piris, submitted that the background in which the amendment is sought to be made should be taken into consideration by court in their determination. He submitted that the Supreme Court, in its determination on the 17th Amendment to the Constitution, observed that it is illogical to require an amendment brought by a majority in Parliament to require a referendum for its repeal. He added that if a two-thirds majority in Parliament is sufficient to pass the 19th Amendment to the Constitution, then the same should be enough to pass the 20th Amendment to the Constitution. President's Counsel Sanjeeva Jayawardena, appearing for MTV-MBC networks, opposed the clause of the 20th Amendment which seeks to impose a duty on private media organizations to comply with the guidelines issued by the Elections Commission. He pointed out that unlike private media, state media is an instrument of the state and thus can be subject to a duty to adhere by the guidelines issued by the Elections Commission. However, he added that the state dictating terms to private media institutions on the content and time allocated to candidates, especially during the run-up to an election, would be an unwarranted intrusion on media freedom. He added that the content broadcast or published by media institutions are governed by the Sri Lanka Press Council Law, the TRC Act and the Rupawahini Corporation Act, and there is no need for an intrusion by way of a constitutional duty. Following are some of the views expressed in this regard.
The Supreme Court is currently considering the petitions filed challenging the 20th Amendment to the Constitution. Against such a backdrop, various political parties and civil activists have expressed their opinion regarding the 20th Amendment.
No, I have nothing against the 20th Amendment and I have no issues in this regard. As I said before, we cannot go against the people's mandate. 6.9 million Sri Lankans voted for Gotabaya Rajapaksa. The ruling party received a two-thirds majority because of him. We pledged that we would repeal the 19th Amendment and we must stand by our word. As a party, we extend our fullest support to the 20th Amendment. Our parliamentary group will reach a decision and our report will be handed over to the Prime Minister. We are of the stance that a new constitution must be brought in immediately.
ඒ වගේම අපි නව ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාවක් වහාම ගේන්න කටයුතු කළ යුතුයි කියන මතය තමයි අපි.
මීට කලින් ඒකට එක්කත් පළ කරේ නැහැ නේද? එමෙතුමාලා පොඩ්ඩක්
No, we only expressed our views on the amendment. That is a part of democracy. The President warmly welcomes various opinions expressed by everyone. The cabinet members express their views to the President as well, and the President accepts all of them.
තුමා කේන්ති ගන්න ඒක අපිට හොඳයි.
මල්ලාගේ යෝජනාවලට මේ යෝජනා උනේ නැත්තම් හරියාකාරව ඔබතුමාට මොකද?
නෑ එහෙම වෙන්නේ නැත්තේ නෑ වෙනවා. ජනාධිපති.
No, that will not happen. The President is a leader who pays attention to everyone. He is a trustworthy leader. Therefore, we have no problems with him.
ඒ නිසා අපිට ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෑ එතුමාට.
The people have been given an ultimatum. You must either choose the side which protects democracy or the side that is trying to destroy democracy and pave the way for a dictatorship. If we remain silent without voicing our concern, we will have to regret it in the future. We should be inspired by leaders like Mandela and not Idi Amin or Mugabe. We are prepared to adhere to any determination given by the Supreme Court regarding this matter. Any essential amendments that would benefit the country will be presented during the committee stage.
A program to cultivate corn on a land belonging to the Kantale sugar factory commenced today.
The Kantale sugar factory that was established 60 years ago was shut down for almost 26 years. The government has taken steps to clear land on which sugarcane was cultivated so that such land can be provided to the general public for corn cultivation.
We are not planning to cultivate sugarcane. We are planning another program that will require much more effort, and cultivating corn will be the first phase of this endeavor.
ඒකේ ආරම්භයක් හැටියට තමයි ඉස්සලා බඩ ඉරුඟ වගා කරන්නේ. මේක ලණු පොටෙන් හරි ඇඳලා අර දිමු ජාරත් ඇමතුමා ඒ කාලේ ඉඩම් දුන්නේ මට LRC එකක් අද මට තියෙන්නේ. එතුමා ඉඩම් ඇමතිවරයා හැටියට අරම් ප්‍රවුම් පාවුම් වතු අපිට අරන් සුද්දාගේ ඉඩම් ටික මිනිසුන්ට බෙදලා දුන්නේ කොහොලණු වලින්. හදිසියට. ඒ වගේ කොහොලණු හර කමන්නේ බෙදලා ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැතුව අරන් තමුන්නාසලා පුළුවන් තරම් ඉක්මනින් බඩ ඉරුඟ ටික හදන්න. ඉතින් මේ බඩ ඉරුඟ වලින් තමයි මේක.
The initial phase of this program will be the cultivation of corn, and eventually we will transition to sugarcane cultivation. Do not have second thoughts about it. We have with us today Mr. J.H. Pereira, who was named by Basil Rajapaksa to be present at this event. He has a large factory in Mihintale. He is perhaps one of the leading businessmen and corn producers. There are many issues in terms of land distribution, issues that were created and not resolved by the previous government. We will address these issues and we go forward and distribute land to everyone. This land is massive. Clear the forest and use it for cultivation. You cannot do this alone. And that is why Basil Rajapaksa has sent a private businessman to help us.
Testifying at the Presidential Commission probing the April 21st attack, former Defence Secretary Hemasiri Fernando said former President Maithripala Sirisena made him and former IGP Pujit Jayasundara the main culprits 2 days after the attack without conducting any preliminary investigation because the former president would not be able to run for a second term if his reputation is tarnished.
The witness said that the statements made by Maithripala Sirisena on the 23rd of April 2019 that Jayasundara and himself was fully responsible for the bombings was a very vicious statement that could be made as a head of state. President's counsel Anil De Silva, appearing for former president, cross-examined Fernando. He questioned the witness whether he had the opportunity to speak to Sirisena on his return to Sri Lanka after a foreign tour on the 21st of April 2019. In response, he said he could not speak to the president as he was on his way to Colombo directly from the airport, and added that he could not be reached over the phone. When questioned why he resigned from the post of Defence Secretary on the 25th of April 2019, Fernando said that Sirisena had instructed the then IGP to take responsibility for the attack and to resign. He had also been promised a number of privileges, including an ambassadorial post in any country of his choice if he resigned. The witness further said that he had informed the president at that time that former director of the State Intelligence Service, SDIG Nilantha Jayawardena, was responsible for not preventing the attacks, as he used to forward intelligence information to Sirisena directly. The President's counsel asked the witness whether he admitted that he had failed to take any action as the Defence Secretary on the information received that National Tawheed Jamaat and its leader Zaharan Hashim could launch a terrorist attack. In response, Fernando said on the day he received it, he realized the seriousness of the matter and referred the same to the then Chief of National Intelligence and IGP. The witness added, and I quote, according to his notification, the former IGP had taken steps to deploy police officers for the security of some churches, in court.
Gammadda launched yet another progressive initiative today. Tech Bus Sri Lanka was launched by Gammadda to equip students in rural areas with knowledge on modern technologies. Gammadda, together with the University of Moratuwa and Sri Lanka Inventors Commission, launched Tech Bus Sri Lanka, a deep blue technology-packed semi-trailer truck at the Takshila Mahavidyalaya School in Mahavilachi, Anuradhapura today to coincide with Children's Day. The Gammadda team, together with Tech Bus Sri Lanka, is expected to tour many parts of the island and expand beyond schools as well, taking technology to rural communities across the country. Students were given the opportunity to learn about the new technology in a show and tell one-day program aimed at providing a digital experience to the students. The experience has been designed to keep students' engagement and collaboration in mind, including a design lab to launch later. An all-night Pirit recital was held last night to mark the 71st anniversary of the Sri Lanka Army. The event was held at the Army headquarters.
The Pirit chanting is organized every year by the Buddhist Council of the Sri Lanka Army. Chief of Defence Staff and Commander of the Sri Lanka Army, Lieutenant General Shavendra Silva, and a group of senior officers were present at the occasion. Meanwhile, a program to distribute school bags to students of St. Michael's College, Polwata, Colombo 3 was held today to mark Children's Day. The event was organized by the Seva Vanita unit of the Sri Lanka Army General Service Brigade.
And with that, it's a wrap of Primetime News for today, and thank you for being with us through this massive technical difficulty that we are facing today. If you have missed a story, don't worry, you can log on to our award-winning website, that is www.newsfirst.lk. I'm Tarusha Kumar Singha. Have a good night.